With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Of course, the big movie in theaters right now until today's the official opening day of Moana 2 is Wicked. Wicked has already been crushing it at the box office, doing big numbers. Fans love it. They're excited about it and stuff like this. But an unfortunate situation has just come up where there have been some female fans who have, in their fandom and enthusiasm, wanted to dress up as Elphaba and put on the green paint and went into certain movie theaters, in this case, particularly AMC movie theaters, only to get there and have AMC theaters tell them, we're going to need you guys to take the face paint off. Situations like this one, Joe Blow is actually sharing like video of like some girls at AMC being filming themselves saying, I was just told they're not going to let me in unless I go to the bathroom and wash off my face paint and stuff like that. And that has happened in a couple of locations. So the question becomes, it started this big debate online, including at one of my favorite sites there, Joe Blow. It started a big debate about, was AMC right or wrong to tell people that they had to go and take their face makeup off? It hurts me in a deep and very real way to utter the words, I agree with AMC. Oh, God,
Really?
I don't like saying those words.
Okay.
Considering, in my opinion, what an idiot of a so-called CEO they have. But I am nonetheless forced, chokingly, to say, I agree with AMC. Look, a little bit of background and context, okay? Number of years ago, many of you will remember, and I was at AMC at the time, there was a really horrific incident that happened at a California AMC where a guy wearing a mask came in and shot a bunch of people in a movie theater. Now, when something like that happens, everybody rushes to blame the venue. And I was at AMC at the time. And believe me, we were inundated with AMC should have done more, including, and you may think, no, guys, this happened because I was there. Inundated with, how could you guys be so stupid to let people covering their faces to come into the theater? I mean, COVID health issue, face masks, that's a different issue altogether. But I mean, I remember we got flooded with that. Mm-hmm. Flooded with AMC should have done more. AMC should have had stricter policies. It's AMC's fault. And how could you be so stupid as to let people wearing masks and covering their faces come into your theaters? We got flooded with that. We got absolutely flooded with it. I remember our PR teams and stuff like that desperately trying to deal with it and all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's what happened. So what did AMC and other theaters do? In response to that, they created a new policy that you can't make yourself unrecognizable coming into the theater. You can't. They made a rule that's been in place for a while. This isn't new.
It goes back to the Dark Knight. I mean, that's...
Yeah. I mean, or shortly thereafter.
After, but in that
they
era.
created a new rule that's like, listen, no complete face painting and no masks. It's just to make our patrons feel more safe. And I find it hilarious that the same public who screamed at AMC, how could you possibly let people in covering their faces, are now saying, why is AMC turning away people for covering their faces? And like I said, it hurts me in the bum place to have to say that I think I agree with AMC on something, but I agree with them on this. And listen, it's a policy that's publicly put on their website. And it's not like it's something new. It is a rule. And listen, the moment they let people start getting away with it, and listen, by the way, I know for a fact there are some AMC locations that sometimes let people get away with it. It happens. But I don't think you can get mad at a location for when they enforce it and say, look, we had something horrible happen before, and you, the public, blamed us.
I know that there's been
it happened.
I know that there's been other movies where this has happened too. And it's like didn't blow up on TikTok or whatever, but I know that people are dressed up in cosplay where it was full face, and they're like, you got to go, or you got to take that off, or whatever. Like, you can have clothes on that are, but you can't cover your face.
At Disneyland too, you can't. On most days at Disneyland, you can't go full cosplay.
Yeah,
That's mostly because of the magic of the characters.
Well, that, and there was a situation where people thought somebody was a staff person there, and they did something unforetold, right?
One time
so we got to have a policy that says that, yeah, it takes away some of the fun. It sucks. Listen, I think it does suck. I think it sucks that this has to be a rule. But if you're grown up and you think about it, I understand why they have the rule and why they got to enforce it. And so, like, we went to go see Wicked, and like there was 2 women in there dressed as Elphaba. They just didn't have the green face paint on, and there was no problem. They let them in. They because their facial features were not covered or anything like that. Listen, I get everybody who wants to say it's just paint. Paint doesn't hurt anybody. No, paint doesn't hurt anybody. A mask doesn't hurt anybody. But unfortunately, there's been situations where people distorting their appearance so you can't tell who they are have gone into theaters and they have hurt people. And for wildly inexplicable reasons, a lot of the public then blamed the movie theater for it. So what did the movie theater do? They said, all right, we won't let that anymore. We won't permit it. And now we get mad at them for enforcing it? It seems, I'll just say it, it's stupid. It is stupid. And it sucks that other people have to ruin our fun. It sucks that this kind of thing has to happen. I wish we could, even at Comic-Con, right? Even go to Comic-Con now, they now have certain restrictions, not broad scoping restrictions, but even at Comic-Con, they have certain restrictions now on cosplay and what you can have a part of your cosplay and what you can't. It sucks that some fucking morons have to ruin it for the rest of us. But if you're a business like AMC and everybody blamed you, I don't blame AMC for then putting certain rules in place. And listen, if you liked Wicked, you're going to like it whether there's green makeup on your face or not. It just is. Anyway, guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. Thank goodness it is football season. It's time for tailgates, touchdowns, and Sunday cookouts with the crew. But unfortunately, along with the drinks and the food, sometimes you also bring along your odor. And that is why Mando whole body deodorant should be an absolute tailgate game day essential. And that's why Mando's the MVP. It's clinically proven 72-hour odor control, so it's perfect for long days at the game or at the bar. I'm loving the Clover Wood scent, but they've got options like bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings. It's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code Campea. That's over 40% off. Just go to shopmando, that's shopmando.com, and use the code Campea. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code Campea and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. It's a complicated issue, I understand, but Chris, you heard about this. What do you feel about it?
I understand why they would want to be overly cautious in light of the Aurora shooting and everything that happened, and just the world we live in now, where unfortunately mass shootings are very common, at least in this country. That speaks to a greater issue than what happens in movie theaters.
Yeah.
But for me on this one, you know, the full like tactical facial gear that was used before, obviously that absolutely obscures your facial features. Whereas I'm looking at Cynthia Erivo back here. I know that's Cynthia Erivo when she still got green paint on. I know I can still describe that girl who had the green paint on over there. So I can see why people would think this is being blown out of proportion and it's just fans having fun. But I can also see why AMC wouldn't then want to have, okay, well, let's get really specific about these face paint regulations. You can't do like strong contouring or something of that nature, you know?
I think it's because it's logistics. You're not going to get to every manager at every spot and be like, these are the particular and then get that damn marching orders to all the employees, and then they have to make a
and then
snap
you don't
call.
want to put the employees in a place where they have to make a judgment.
It's easier to just be like, yay
don't
or
cover your
nay.
face.
Yeah.
Don't cover your face with a mask or makeup.
Most of the time, these kids working in an AMC are, they're teenagers.
Yeah.
And they already deal with, let's face it, some real jagweeds who come to a movie theater and act like they have every right in the world and start yelling at teenagers because, I don't know, someone didn't hug them enough and they've got a lot of anger issues. So it's always frustrating to see the employees of these theaters have to deal with everyone's negativity. It's just a shame that when somebody is so excited about seeing this movie and they do go, I'm going to do full cosplay, I'm going to make this an event, I'm so excited to celebrate this, that it becomes an issue. Because, we talk about it all the time. Theaters, movie exhibitions are facing a huge problem of getting butts in seats. And stuff like this should be fun and should be acceptable. But again, it's just the reality of the world we live in, is that a lot of people are willing to cause harm and willing to do dangerous things in public places. And you got to hedge your bets on, do I want to make sure everyone here is safe and that nothing could go wrong, or if something does go wrong, people are easily identifiable? Or do I want people to have this fun time, but maybe let something like that happen?
It's also
it's a really big lose-lose.
What you're touching on too is liability. So they have, not that you're touching you're directly, but they have, let's say they have this face paint thing. Okay. Well, you can identify them, but if someone gets harmed by someone with face paint, that family's lawyer is going to be like, interesting. In your guidelines, you say no face paint.
That's exactly what I was going to go to. All right.
Identifiable or not. Now you're screwed, and now you're liable.
Because AMC isn't just in this situation. They're not just trying to make their patrons feel safe. AMC is protecting itself, because the very first thing that's going to happen, if somebody comes in with face paint or a mask or whatever in a cosplay and hurts somebody else in their theater, the first thing that's going to happen, and don't pretend like this wouldn't be the case, the first thing that'll happen is AMC is going to get sued.
Because that's what
for letting those people in with their faces covered with makeup or whatever. You don't think what I'm telling you is the truth?
No, because the lawyer
AMC is going to get sued. Do you think when I used to live in Canada, and I can't wait to live there again, but when I used to live in Canada, do you think everybody goes out and puts salt down on their sidewalk in the wintertime because they really think people don't have enough balance to be able to walk on some snow? Of course we know everybody has the balance to walk on some snow. But if you don't put the salt down and somebody does slip, you're getting sued. So that's the whole thing. Like, AMC not only has to make the environment feel safe for their customers, AMC has to legally protect themselves. And by putting certain rules in place, remember, this is after they got blamed for something that wasn't their fault. AMC having certain rules in place to protect themselves. Because, guys, you can't look at me with a straight face and tell me that if something bad did happen, that those people wouldn't sue AMC theaters for letting that person in. Of course
We've seen it happen so many times. People blaming McDonald's for spilling their own coffee on themselves, right?
Classic lawsuit.
Jumping off the roof wearing your Superman cape didn't make you fly. We now have instructions. Every time you see a warning label on something, it's because some dumbass did it, and then press charges. I am a very, very small, literal mom and pop. My business is me and Logan, and we have liability insurance through the wazoo in our home in case somebody gets hurt in our vocal booth. Something fall on them, God forbid, if an earthquake happens while they're in my home and like they bonk their head or something. You got to go to so many great lengths to protect yourself as a business. And if you are a large corporate conglomerate like this, I think you're going to make sure you're erring on the side of caution.
Yeah. So again, I think the key important pillar facts here to remember are this. When something bad happened before, when somebody came in with face coverings, people blamed AMC for letting people in with face coverings. AMC now has a rule, no face coverings. Do they enforce it all the time? I think there are times that they don't always enforce it, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't enforce it or that they have disqualified themselves from enforcing it. And the reality is, if somebody came in with like some massive character makeup or a mask or something like that and then hurt somebody else, they would use that as grounds to sue AMC. So, like, guys, I know it sucks. I agree it sucks. I want to be able to go and, but I get where AMC is coming from on this. I really, really do.
It's their place. It's like if someone brings, like, food to your party, but you have a rule, like, you have to take off your shoes in the house, and they don't want to take off their shoes. They're not coming into the house, right?
Yeah.
But what did they bring?
Everybody,
what's their food?
Everybody has strong opinions how somebody else should behave.
Yeah.
Like everybody says, oh no, you should be doing this. If it was your house and you knew if people did this in your house, you could get sued, would you not have a rule? oh yeah, but that doesn't count. Like everybody's got strong opinions about how everybody else should act.
And don't tell me like these fans that actually dress up and face paint, they're not the most diehard fans, right?
Of course,
This thing is going to come out digital. You could throw a party and you could have as many costumes as you want at your house.
Not my
and
house.
Celebrate, that way. If you want to, and there's also Halloween. It just passed, but I don't know.
John,
Yeah.
he doesn't
I
like
totally
green people in
get
this
why
movie.
No fun allowed.
they were
No
forced
fun.
to remove their face paint.
And by the way, I would also say this. Look, I love, like, bring up my screen again. This girl, I love that this girl is such a fan. I love
Yeah.
great environments at movies. I love that she wanted to do that. But, I mean, if she was watching Wicked at home, would she have gotten dressed up like that? Probably not. And that's fine. I love that she wanted to do it.
Mhm.
And it sucks that we live in a society where places like AMC have to take those precautions. That sucks. But you would too if it was your venue.
And you know what? AMC probably pretty soon, just because of this, they're probably going to put a real loud and clear on their website, or we get tickets, maybe even for specific movies.
I mean, it's already on their website.
Like costumes and stuff like that, just so people are aware, so they don't have to deal with every individual that comes in, and they could just point to, hey, this was on the website, this was on the ticket kiosk,
and they already are.
They're
doing that right now. They're already doing that right now.
Right.
They're putting out statements saying, guys, it's clearly laid out. But I mean, I've also seen some people in the live chat bringing something else up. Well, have more security at the movie theaters. Have like TSA kind of stuff. I don't know that I want to live in a world where I have to clear security to go into a movie theater. And also, it's expensive.
Yeah, they barely have any workers behind
Like
the food counter.
they barely make any money, these movie theaters, and that's expensive to do that. So
There was definitely a time I think I would have felt more comfortable, honestly, if there had been metal detectors. I remember
Me
there was
too.
a huge
Me too.
of just like surplus of, oh, hey, this movie's getting threats surrounding her, this is happening. Again, this speaks to a bigger issue though. And if things like this bother you, y'all, and I know this isn't a political show, but if things like this bother you, then get involved. Like, get involved in your local like elections and do your own research on things. And if things like this bother you, if policies bother you, then start looking into them. Don't just be mad about a movie theater. Be mad that we live in a place where things like that happen.
Right. Now, I want to point this out. Somebody brought up a really, really good point. Michael in the live chat said, what about sports? Because, me we go to Kings games, Rams games, Laker games, whatever. And like, you got to clear through multiple layers of security. You got to get your ID checked. You go through metal detectors, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can go into the stadium. The thing is, these football teams and basketball teams make billions of dollars of profit, and they have the money to do that. Movie theaters a lot of people don't want to acknowledge this. Movie theaters exist on razor thin margins. And a lot of them just don't have the money to do that.
Yeah, and there's a sad occurrence that happened not too long ago at Edward Cinema in Corona, where some guy, he went up to a couple and shot both of them and left through the exit door. Imagine if that guy had face paint on. How much harder it would have been to identify him. They caught him right away because they had his face, his picture on the cameras, and it was done. But it was like, they're just saving themselves from any tragedies or any headaches that come after these tragedies, especially for a company. I get it. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I'm seeing a lot of comments in the live chat about the way they think things should be and are ignoring the way things are. And that's one of the tough things. Anyway, guys, I'm sure this is one that could be discussed for a long time. I mean, I remember when those horrible incidents happened forever ago, we discussed for months about what should be done, what shouldn't be done, all that kind of stuff. But the question is for you, what do you think about this? AMC and several other theaters have a policy of not being able to cover your face with makeup or a mask when you come into the theaters. It was in response to real world events. Do you think that is now outdated? Do you think, everybody should just be able to dress up however? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you acknowledge that AMC would probably get sued by people if they let somebody in with their face covered and something bad happened? I don't know. How would you approach it? Remember, if it was your money on the line and your business on the line, how would you approach it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.